Rise and shine, Rwanda. It's Wednesday the 3rd of December.
Coming up on today's Rise and Shine Rwanda.
We take a visit to an orthopedic workshop here in Kigali to mark the International Day of People with Disability.
A new champion. We found out who took the day in the cricket final.
And we profile a fresh talent who's here to show Rwanda what she's got. Good morning, it's just after 7 o'clock in the morning and you're watching Rise and Shine Rwanda with me, Regis Isheja.
And me, Makeda Mahario. Over the next hour, we will be bringing you all the latest news, sports, and lifestyle headlines from here in Rwanda and around the world. And of course, the Rise and Shine team are here with us in studio. It is the middle of the week. You know, things are getting a little bit crazy. Earlier, we all saw that. But I want to know what is happening in the money.
Well, in the money, apart from having very interesting business stories, I spoke to the head of the delegation of the EU to Rwanda, and I found out about the economic partnership agreement that they signed recently with the East African community. It's very interesting. Just look out for that.
Definitely looking out. Arnold?
No Champions League, unfortunately, but we have a new champion in cricket in the Rwandan League. I have the latest.
Okay, lovely. And what about you, Alan?
Well, I've got a treat for all the music lovers out there, as well as usual, the hottest hot topics.
The hot, spicy topics.
All
okay.
right, all that and more to come. But first, the story of the day.
Today marks the International Day of People with Disability and the final day of National Disability Week here in Rwanda. This year's theme was removing barriers to create an inclusive and accessible society for all. And one institution is doing its part in achieving this goal. Join me on my trip to One Love. Founded in 1996, One Love Mulindi, Japan is a huge compound in Chimichanga, which serves as a guest house, bar and restaurant, nightclub, camping ground, and believe it or not, a prosthetic limb factory. I went to find out more about this project. How did a place like this become a prosthetic limb factory?
Nyuma ya genocide yakorewe abatutsi muri 1994 urumva ikintu cyari kigamijwe ari objectif ebyiri. Objectif ya mbere ni ukubahagurutsa, objectif ya kabiri ni ukubigisha, iya gatatu ni ukubaha akazi, hanyuma iya kane ni ukubahuza n'abandi bamugaye ku isi hose kugira mu marushanwa ya siporo no kubigisha. Icya gatanu ni ukubigisha kwibumbira hamwe nk'amasosiyasiyo.
The orthopedic workshop at One Love is subsidized by the government so that all limbs produced can be given to beneficiaries for free. This is one aspect of the project that changes lives.
Ndumva zabuhindura bwiza bitewe nuko urebye uburyo naba ndiho ndifuza kubona mbese najya abandi abantu babona ntagumye ubune nko kwibera mu kabande ntacyo byamarira rero kwibera mu cyaro ntacyo byamarira nayo nanjye abantu babona.
Most of the work is done here manually by people who have their own handicaps.
Natangiye mu mwaka wa 2002 kubera ko nari maze kumugara, noneho nza kubona ko hano hari ikigo gifasha abantu bamugaye bacitse amaguru ko bakorera insimburangingo, noneho nanjye numva ngize ashatse kubyiga, noneho nza kubyiga baranyigisha ndabimenya, nkora njya hanze, njya mu gihugu cy'Ubuyapani, njya kubinonosora, ndongera njya no muri Korea mu mahiganwa mu marushanwa y'isi yose kwiga gukora amaproteze.
It seems One Love has created a homegrown solution for disabled persons, one limb at a time. With more and more projects like this popping up, Rwanda is definitely taking strides in the right direction. Makeda Mahario, Rise and Shine Rwanda.
Great report there by Makeda. And joining us in the studio is Caesar Gwagasana. Caesar, ufite atelier yawe ukoramo. Ubuhanga ukoresha wabuvanye muri One Love. Ariko ubwira abantu noneho bari mu rugo batabizi batazi icyo One Love baca imbere yaho ariko batazi icyo ari cyo basobanurire babwire bigishe wabwira icyo One Love ikora.
One Love ni ikigo gifasha ababana n'ubumuga insimburangingo n'inyunganirangingo ku buntu. Nibyo navuga muri make. Ikigo gifasha nk'abatakizi.
Ikintu cya mbere cyantangaje ni ukumva ko babikorera ku buntu. Ubwo buntu buturuka he?
Ubwo buntu bituruka kuri Gatera wenyine nyir'ubwite. Ni igitekerezo yahanze agishyira no mu bikorwa kibaho. No mu buryo nakubwira nanjye ndumwe muri abo beneficiaire baho ngaho. Gatera yamamagaye gutya niga hariya ndangije nkomeza nkora nakoze imyaka 10 mu nyuma nza gutekereza guhanga ibyanjye nanjye nkabiriya nyine nuko byatangiye.
Ese ujya muri One Love byagenze biteye gutubwiye ko Gatera yaguhamagaye ariko so hageze ibyo wabashije kubona byari bimeze bite? Ese nyuma yaho hari n'ubundi bumenyi noneho washoboye kwiyungura ku buryo ugeze aho ugeze ubu?
Ubundi giye nageze muri One Love mu mwaka wa 2000 dukora biriya bya Gatera yari yaduzanye mu bintu bya sport, atuzana muri sport. Mu bisanzwe giye nari umusirikare navuyemo 97. Gatera amamagara gukorana nawe uko nguko ntangirana nawe uko nguko za kwirota Rwanda muri orthopedie birampira nkomereza aho ngaho n'ibitekerezo byo gushinga ibyanjye bizira aho ngaho.
Ndumva mbere ko iki kiganiro gitangira wigeze kumbwira yuko byanagufashe no gushobora kujya kwiga mu mahanga. Ese wadusobanurira ukuntu ibyo byagenze?
Mu mahanga ni One Love yadushakiye inkunga mu mahanga yo kwiga ngira ngo kugeza none munsi One Love irungika buri muntu mu Buyapani buri mwaka. Ni nanjye natangiye mu wa mbere batangiye kujya kwiga ninjye nabitangiye wa mbere. Njye natangiye nafunguriye abandi bose kujya mu Buyapani. Mvuye mu Buyapani na experience nahavanye biba ngombwa ngo nanjye ntangire gutekereza ikindi kintu nakora nikorera nanjye fasha abandi bagenzi banjye nkuko nanjye bamfashije. Nifuje gufasha abandi bagenzi banjye nuko nanjye bamfashije.
Ese tuvuze kuri leta yacu icyo yafashamo abatishoboye abahuye n'ibibazo by'imvune abaje kuremara kubera ibibazo tutavuga ko byabaturutseho, ese ubona hari icyo leta ibakorera ibafashamo?
Mu bisanzwe muri rusange nk'ibintu tuvana hanze aho ni mu ruhare rwa leta ashaka kuvuga idufashamo. Ibyo bintu nta nubwo tubisorera. Ntabwo tubisorera ibintu byose bifasha ababana n'ubumuga nta nubwo bisorerwa. Ndumva iyo ari intambwe nini kugira ngo nabagenzi bacu tubashe no kubafasha n'ibyo bintu twazanye.
Ese kuki hatari ahandi hantu nka One Love mu Rwanda? Kereka niba hahari nkaba ntahazi. Kuki nta handi hahari hita ku bantu bamugaye, hita ku bantu bakeneye gufashwa noneho bakerekana ubuhanga bwabo n'ubuhanzi bwabo n'ibindi bazi gukora?
Mu bisanzwe ngira ngo nuko abantu batajya bamurika ibintu byabo ngo bigere hanze abantu babimenye. Ni nka kwa kundi bambajije nk'abantu batazi muri One Love bihakorerwa, urumva n'ahandi byaba ari uko nguko. Ariko mu bisanzwe ubu ngubu kera yari One Love yonyine mu bisanzwe, ariko ubu ngubu ababana n'ubumuga bonyine bamaze gutera imbere no kugera mu rwego ubu ngubu dutangiye natwe kwihangira ibyacu kandi kera tutari tubifite.
Atelier ibyo ukora gira icyo ubitubwiramo, wenda unabirate ubwira abari mu rugo ibyo ushobora gukora n'ukuntu urimo urakoresha n'abandi noneho kugira ngo bagire ibyo bigezaho nabo.
Abari mu rugo basanzwe barabimenyereye mu bisanzwe, ahubwo jewe nk'akantu k'amatsiko ni nk'uko ubu twicaranye wabonye ukuntu ngenda, ubu nanjye ncitse akaguru, urabona ko nicyo kintu ndi fier n'ibyo nkora ntangiriye kuri jyenyine. Wabonye ukuntu ngenda, wabonye ukuntu mpagaze, nta n'umuntu yamenya ko mfite ikibazo cy'ubumuga.
Aho rero atelier yawe iri hehe ku bashaka kuhamenya, specialite yanyu ni iyihe?
Atelier yanjye ubu ni mu bisanzwe yitwa Africa Marche. Africa Marche rero mbese ni ku gitekerezo cyavutse muri One Love, duturukije ku bintu One Love yakoraga. Nza kugira icyo gitekerezo kubera abagenzi banjye banganaga benshi, twabanye nabo mu gisirikare, biba ngombwa nanjye ntekereze mvuge ni reka nanjye shinge ikintu, noneho bagenzi banjye mu buryo bazaramuka baje bangana, nubwo bataba bafite ibipapuro byo kugira ngo dukunde dukore, nkaba nadesida jyenyine mu gihe ibipapuro bitaraboneka, nkamuha cya kintu ariko ibipapuro tukaba tubishaka nyuma, ariko ikibazo cyakemutse. Byaziye aho ngaho, noneho nza no gutekereza ikindi muri cya gitekerezo wavuze cyo gufasha abamugaye. So kwa kundi gatera aho uzavuga mu kanya, so kuvuga ngo umuntu umuha akaguru gusa, umuhangire n'ibindi. Ubu ngubu Africa Marche tugeze ubu dusigaye dukora confiture, kwigisha abamugaye. Dufite atelier ya confiture mu buryo twamuha akaguru tukamuha na formation y'amezi 3 kugira ngo nawe abashe gukora confiture mu cyaro. Confiture byaturutse mbese nk'uko tubona imbuto mu cyaro bafite nyinshi zinababurana, yari mu rwego rw'uwamugaye kugira ngo nawe ashakishe ukuntu yakora confiture muri za mbuto zisanzwe zangirika. Urumva ni nko mu buryo bwo kubika za confiture, uburyo bwo kubika imbuto. Mu bisanzwe imbuto kandi hano tuziko zibora, ariko confiture nibora ntabwo ibora. Ni mu buryo bwo kuzibika n'abantu bikabageraho za mbuto bakazijya mu bundi buryo, ariko bikozwe n'ababana n'ubumuga.
César Rwagasana, byanshimishije cyane gushobora kuganira nawe, kandi nizeye yuko n'abari mu rugo nabo bamenye icyo One Love yakumariye n'icyo nawe umaze kwimarira ubu ngubu. Urakoze cyane. You're watching Rise and Shine Rwanda. Makera and I will be right back after the break.
Meshi?
Hey kid.
Kobe Bryant?
Would you like to have some ice cream, young man?
Ice cream?
Sure. The best fly with Europe's best airline, Turkish Airlines.
Okay, let's get to today's business headlines. Fidelis Karangwa has the details.
Three business stories making headlines today. Bank of Kigali plans to support investors who require funding for long-term projects. This was mentioned during the bank's Corporate Clients Day event, where officials say the bank is set to support projects of over 20 billion francs. This comes as part of the bank's plan to help create job opportunities for those who want to invest in the various sectors of the economy. And the government, under the second EDPRS program, plans to promote regional centers of excellence and development of satellite cities in all provinces by 2018. The plan, which is aimed at supporting regional growth and urbanization, is expected to create jobs in provinces and reduce rural to urban migration. Rwanda's rural-urban migration rate stands at 4.8% compared to the global level, which is at 1.9%. Now, on the 16th of October this year, the East African Community, together with the European Union, signed an economic partnership agreement. This is expected to provide legal certainty for the businesses and open a long-term perspective for free and unlimited access to the European market for products that are in the East African region. Traders will be able to export goods like coffee, cut flour, tea, tobacco, fish and vegetables to Europe without worrying about the potential loss of full duty-free and quota-free access to the European market due to improving statuses. Well, earlier I spoke to Ambassador Michael Ryan, the head of the delegation of the European Union to Rwanda, to find out more about this agreement, started by asking him how this will impact the Rwandan people.
Well, a lot of this depends on Rwanda's own policies in spreading the rewards of development to all in its community. But from what I can see, this is very much central to government policy, to pay attention to those at the lower end of the income scale. Our agreement does provide for duty-free and quota-free access of products from Rwanda into the European Union. Now, Rwanda is not exporting a lot at the moment, but I believe that creates a huge amount of potential. Since this is largely an agrarian society, those who produce coffee, tea, and hopefully other horticultural products, even in villages, will stand to benefit. Of course, it will need a lot to get a product out of the ground into shape to be exported to Europe. And this is one aspect of this agreement where we are very happy to help. We will help in improving trade capacity, the trade capacity of this country in all the issues related to conformity with standards. And this trade agreement isn't only about just setting the rules for the game of trade, it is about assisting the development process to allow trade to flourish. And I believe that this will benefit everyone in this country.
So unfortunately, there have been a lot of Ebola fears that we've been hearing about. You know, it has actually particularly affected tourism, the tourism sector in the East African community, especially where we see most companies losing lots of clients because of fears that, you know, there's Ebola in East Africa, in Africa in general, even though there are no cases of Ebola that have been reported in East Africa in particular. So how do you feel that this is going to affect trade, especially with the East African community and the European Union? How are you going to ensure that this will not interrupt trade?
Ebola-noia is what I call it, the fear of Ebola. Ebola is a terrible scourge at the moment, but I think many of us have become passionately persuaded by the terror of it. And I think we have to look at the facts and see which are the countries in which Ebola is occurring. The European Union and the international community in general has done a lot to try and arrest the spread of Ebola. I know that here in Rwanda, and I've talked to various ministers about the measures taken to prevent any import of any unfortunate case of a passenger with Ebola, and the measures here are tremendous. They're very tight. I don't think it's affected trade. It's certainly affected tourism. Hotel numbers are down, and those possibly attending conferences are down. You recently had the Rwanda Tour de Rwanda, which I believe there were less than the fully expected number of cyclists attending that. But I would hope by this time next year that all that has passed, like it did with other bouts of epidemics, and that we will get back to business as normal. But I've been very impressed with the measures taken here in Rwanda to prevent Ebola, and it is up to people like ourselves, the European Union and others, to make sure that our countries and our capitals are aware there is no Ebola here.
So when would you say we're going to start seeing the benefits of this agreement? How soon do you think we'll be able to see them?
Yesterday already. It was signed on the 16th of October. It has to be ratified by all the 5 countries of the East African Community, the 5 member states. I hope that will happen very soon. This has been a negotiation that has taken several years, 4 years. I think the negotiations began in 2010. So I believe we should now get quickly on to ratification and then putting into force the agreement, and things don't change straight away. And remember, Rwanda has already had a very favorable access to European Union markets. It's only Kenya, with its slightly different income status, that stood to lose straight away. Luckily, we now have our agreement, our EPA. The benefits, I believe, associated with the right sorts of measures, both from the government and from our side to assist in building capacity in exports, should be felt within years, within the coming years.
So lastly, well, as we finish, what would you say is going to be the future of this partnership?
Good. It has been good. We have had a partnership with Rwanda since the 1980s. We are a solid and permanent partner and friend of Rwanda through its ups and its downs, and we will continue to be so. I see huge promise in all areas, economics in particular. All the right sorts of policies are being put in place here to attract investment, and I think that's one of our key challenges, is to rise to the invitation by the government of Rwanda to bring in investors. Of course, it's up to the government to show why investors should come here, but that's what they're working on, and our job is to bring our business people here. And that will only serve to improve the economic situation in this country and to continue with the spread of prosperity that has already begun.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Fidelis.
Well, you're up to date with today's business headlines, sports news coming up next in just a minute with Arnold Quizera.
Welcome back to Rise and Shine Rwanda. Sports news with me, Arnold Quizera. Starting with athletics, Rwandan athlete and Francophone Games champion wins the France half marathon. Renowned long-distance runner Dieudonné DC clocked 1 hour, 9 minutes and 16 seconds to win the 40 de France over the weekend. DC fended off competition from Russia's Andrei Sofrowanev by a microsecond to win the 30th edition of the annual 21-kilometer event that attracted more than 12,000 participants from France and abroad. The 34-year-old, who plies his trade with Club Colonial in France, has been in fine form this year, winning several local competitions, including the 15-kilometer Martigos Caro race in May. To football. The 2014 FIFA Ballon d'Or shortlist has been released by the Federation of International Football Federation, FIFA. Last year's winner, Real Madrid, and Portugal's Cristiano Ronaldo leads the 3-man shortlist that also has Barcelona and Argentine forward Lionel Messi, with German World Cup winning goalkeeper Manuel Neuer completing the lineup. The 2014 Top Football Individual Award is expected to be the closest, with most experts in the football fraternity expecting it to be a close contest between Neuer and Ronaldo. The award is voted for by the coaches and national team captains. On to local cricket. Right Guards Cricket Club were over the weekend crowned the 2014 UAE 50 Overs National Cricket Champions, securing their first title in 4 years. I was at the Kichuchiro Cricket Over for this rather one-sided final. The inaugural UAE 50 Overs final had been billed as the underdogs final, with both teams tussling out for the 1 million cash prize, having upset their semi-final opponents. Right Guards came into the game having already lost to their rivals Indora in the group stages, but their 4 wickets victory over favourites Telugu Cricket in the semi-finals should have been taken as a warning by Indora. Ndora recruited Ugandan internationals Rogers Mukasa and Arthur Chobe, with the latter having been voted as the best player at the ICC Division 3 World Cup in Malaysia. The signings did not affect the right guard's bowlers, who quickly disposed the top order batsmen for a total of 8 runs, with Chobe going for a duck. Right guard's captain Eric Ndusinjizimana heaped praise on the cool head of his team after limiting Ndora to only 68 runs.
So today we did light especially to the fielding and bowling. We bowled very well today. So what we planned before, we said as they are just international players, so we had that anything in the air we have to catch it, and then we bowled wicket to wicket.
On the other hand, Arthur Chobe, the opening batsman for Ndora Cricket Club, took blame for his side's defeat.
I fully take responsibility for this as a batsman. We did not come to the party, but we also want to give credit to the bowlers of the other side. Isanezi Mugabe bowled so well. He bowled his channels. He never gave us any freebies to hit or anything like that. He kept bowling stump to stump, and the wickets happened.
The UAE Exchange 50 Overs tournament also brought an end to Challenger Cricket Club's run of 8 consecutive finals. Arnold Kwizera, Rise and Shine, Rwanda. Joining me in studio is a renowned sports journalist, Asha Komugisha. Welcome to the show, Asha.
Thank you very much.
A little bleak up there. Asha, starting with local cricket, over the game, Ndora with 3 Ugandan internationals, one of them, Rogers Mukasa, who was named the best player at the ICC Division 3 Championship, losing to Right Guards Cricket Club, a team made of very young Rwandan players. What do you take of that?
Well, we all know that with cricket, you have one chance when you're batsman. One mistake and you're out. And that's how Arthur Chobe got out with a duck. I mean, he does not have a second chance, and he's not, a bowler that, is going to come back and bowl another over. It's one chance as a batsman, and he didn't use his chance, and that's it. That's cricket.
Rogers Mukasa, he had very good figures in Malaysia. Even him himself coming in and only, that's Uganda's opening batsman pair. He comes in and also makes 8 runs. Is it the wicket, or you feel the coming of these professional players down to the Rwandan League has improved the game and these boys are really picking up?
Of course, looking at the Right Guards team coming into this final, they were the underdogs because, Ndora had the Ugandan internationals, but you have to give them credit for focusing and knowing that, we have nothing to lose here. We are going to go all out and we are going to give it our best shot. And Eric, the captain of Right Guards, he's the national team captain of Rwanda. He has experience on the international scene. So him talking to these young boys, mentoring them and explaining to them that, look, we have to do this. We have to prove ourselves, and with time, this is where we want to be.
Did you expect Ndora to just be limited to only 68 runs? We had the game done by lunchtime. That's rare for a 50 overs game of cricket. What was your take of Ndora, coming in and only putting 68 on the board? Not
even a girls' cricket school team can put up 68 runs. That was very dismal. It was I don't know, it was frustrating for a team that is in a final. Even I'm sure for the fans who came out to watch that final, 68 runs is, if we had paid money, we would say, what, we want our money back.
Okay, now moving on to football. The FIFA Ballon d'Or shortlist was made. So many complaints, the initial 23-man list didn't have a Luis Suarez, who had a fantastic season, I would say by European standards. No Luis Suarez. We have Manuel Neuer, Cristiano Ronaldo, and Lionel Messi. What's your take on
that? It's a very close call because with the Ballon d'Or, we've learned not to compare the World Cup performances and the Champions League. So it looks more like the most important thing here is the Champions League, and Cristiano Ronaldo has the Champions League. He didn't do much at the World Cup.
But Asha, so many will disagree with you with that, because you feel in World Cup years. Going to the 2006 World Cup, Ronaldinho was the best player in the world, no doubt. He comes into the 2006 World Cup and he puts on a dismissal performance. And then you have Fabio Cannavaro, who plays good because Juventus had been banned that season in the Italian Serie A. He played a very great World Cup and was given the World Player of the Year award. It's in World Cup years, the World Cup tends to matter. That's why so many are putting Manuel Neuer in line. Do you feel Manuel Neuer can take it away as an individual award from Cristiano Ronaldo? Because right now, 20 plus goals already. Cristiano Ronaldo is in a league of his own.
Well, Arnold, you need to understand that we are in a different era now. This is a Ronaldo versus Messi era, which is what makes the money, which is what makes the Ballon d'Or, you know, very popular like that. So FIFA wants, you know, FIFA wants this to come out like it's, you know, Messi versus Cristiano. If he gets this award, then he's getting closer to Messi, blah, blah, blah. So I think...
FIFA, okay, fans would like to see that, but don't you feel even FIFA would like to put a dent, you know, in that Ronaldo-Messi duopoly, yeah? And maybe give it to a German, because so many people have been calling a German player deserves this. Philipp Lahm was on that shortlist, despite him not playing for the national team anymore. He was the captain at the World Cup, but it's so many people think Noah may take the award.
By the way, this is not to mean that Manuel Neuer has not been exceptional. I mean, guiding Bayern Munich to the Bundesliga title, and then Germany to the World Cup and actually winning it. But then again, he's a goalkeeper. You know, people usually go for the, you know, for the strikers, the goals. You know, 51 goals, and then, you know, so people like the flair with that.
Okay, maybe it's another year where we're going to see another Oliver Kahn not win it.
I hope. Well, I wish him the best. I hope he wins anyway.
Okay, then athletics. DC winning in France. He's 34 years old. He has already had 2 Olympics in him. Will he be fit enough for Rio 2016?
Well, you see, the beauty about marathons is that even at 40, you can still run a marathon and actually win.
Hail Gabriel Selassie, not everyone is Hail
Yeah, I know, but with proper training and him winning these races that he's actually won this year in France is because he's been training in Iten in Kenya at the High Performance Center. So it's just about, you know, the nutrition, and it's also about the preparations that he will have in there. And I mean, the Olympics are just almost, you know, 15 or 16 months from now. So I think he can still make it. He can, I mean, he's one of the, he's the best runner we have in Rwanda here right now. So I think he will still make the mark.
Do you feel our sports federation or Omnisport is not doing enough for athletics, being that we are a very hilly country, just like Kenya? Why don't we have such, you know, high training facilities in Rwanda?
Well, I've spoken to the Minister of Sports, Joe Habineza, and he has made it clear that Rwanda is planning to build a high-performance center. It's just an issue of understanding where exactly it will be. So I think the ministry is trying so much, and the federation, to have local competitions to involve so many of the athletes. I mean, in the last 3 months, there's been 4 to 5 competitions just here in Kigali, attracting athletes from across the country. So there's a plan. There's a plan, and I think with time it will change, because athletics is one of the top 5 sporting disciplines that are respected in Rwanda.
Thank you very much, Asha. Always good to have you on the show. Makeda and Regis will be right back after the break with the news headlines.
Welcome back to Rise and Shine Rwanda. Let's take a look now at news-making headlines here in Rwanda and around the world. The University of Rwanda has launched a fund aimed at helping needy students pursue their studies. This comes after a report showed that the students failed to pay tuition and could not afford accommodation and meals, which affected their studies. Officials said that the fund, which is supported by faculty and students, is so far covering tuition fees for 12 students, and urged the public to support disadvantaged students.
300 expectant women are set to benefit from Mama Kits donated by Airtel Rwanda in an effort to help reduce mother-to-child HIV transmission. The kits are said to help provide a clean and safe delivery for the mothers. Officials said expectant women are required to be tested 4 times during pregnancy, but has faced challenges due to a lack of funds, adding that the financial assistance from the telecom company will go a long way in easing this problem.
The Ministry of Agriculture, together with the government of Israel, has signed an agreement to help improve horticulture in the country through an establishment of Agriculture Excellence Center.
Officials said that the center will not only help boost horticulture production and farmers' welfare, but also help raise the contribution of agriculture towards the country's GDP. Under the second Economic Development and Poverty Reduction Strategies, Rwanda aims to increase agricultural exports from 16% to 28% by 2017.
And in regional news, 36 quarry workers were killed by Al-Shabaab militants in Kenya's Mandera town. Kenya has suffered a string of attacks since it sent troops into Somalia to fight Al-Shabaab in late 2011. The militant group said the attack was another successful operation carried out by the Mujahideen. Last week, the group killed 26 people in a bus attack targeting non-Muslims in the same area. President Uhuru Kenyatta said that the government will stand firm and called on Kenyans to remain united in the war against terror. Time now for a review of the headlines. Matthew Rwahigi joins us now to take us through some of the front pages. Matthew, always a pleasure having you here. Now, I had the pleasure yesterday of covering the forum, the Service Investment Forum. And it was amazing to talk to people. I did a few Vox Pops there, and it was amazing to talk to them and feel how much they feel it's important to them to actually mingle with those coming from elsewhere, those who are studying here as entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs. But there's something else the government is trying to accomplish here, right? They're trying to make sure that the service industry is the #1 source of income in the country.
Indeed, Regis, when you look at what the government of Rwanda has been trying to push forward in terms of growing the GDP and increasing income into the country, when the targets and the priority sector, like you said, is the service sector. But then the question also still lingers whether the service sector in Rwanda is in position to deliver the expectations of the country and the government, the people, and everybody that has a stake in Rwanda's development. So if we go back to the Service Investment Forum that the RDB organized this time round, especially because it's not the first time they're doing that, you realize that the talk has been around that same thing. How can we push the service industry to be an export earner for the Rwandan government? But now, me and you and any other Rwandan would ask, is the Rwandan service sector in position to push for that? Do we have the skills? Because unlike the industry, the commodity export industry, I would go and maybe harvest my beans and maybe harvest my coffee and send them raw to the European market. And then they will do the processing and then they will send back the finished products and then we'll buy them. But the services industry, I can't send raw services. That is impossible. You can't export raw services. So the African continent, I'm not talking about Rwanda alone, has gotten used to the issue of let's just produce primary products and then send them to the rest of the markets to do the processing part of it. So the services industry, that means, is it is very sensitive when it comes to the skills. It needs readiness. That is, you have to be able to export quality. You're not going to export raw like you do for coffee. You're going to export quality. But now, when you come back to Rwanda, we have the skills. All the time we've had this story. We have a skills gap in this sector. We have a skills gap in this sector. So how can we be able to export these services? Especially because in the past we have not been able to export any of those services apart from tourism.
Right.
So yeah. So maybe the other element or the other perspective that has something to do with this is the export industry. I'll look at it first from the continental perspective.
Just briefly before we have to move on to the next
you want to move
topic.
On to the next
yes.
Topic.
Well, no, you can finish your point by all means. By all means, it is very interesting.
You see, what I was saying is,
right.
you realize that the African continent rarely trades among itself. You have maybe over 80% of what we produce in the African continent going outside as raw products.
Right.
So when you get to services, what do I have that Kenya doesn't have, that Uganda doesn't have? So if you produce banana and I produce banana, how can I come to you to buy banana?
Well, maybe that's what the forum is there to clear up.
Exactly.
Okay, let's move on to the next headline. Everyone is talking about it. There's, like I said the other day, another hashtag. There's been another very vicious attack on Kenya. Now, it seems like they just can't win these days. It's extremely insecure. Tell us what your thoughts are, the problems that are there, any remedies if there can be, what can be done?
It's a sad story that normally in Africa we always talk about some of these things happening, but again, it's not just an African problem. Terrorism is everywhere. But now when you come back to the Kenyan issue, I think there's a little bit of complacency in the security system. You see, when you look at Mandera and you look maybe at Wajir, they are all coastal. They are all border towns. They are closer to the Somalia, Somalia. So there's a little bit of complacence. How do these guys cross over? There's a lot of porelessness in the borders. How do you determine who comes into Kenya and who doesn't come into Kenya? Because these are not Kenyans. They are not from within Kenya and they decide to kill the people in Kenya. Rather, they come from Somalia and cross over to Kenya and kill people. So how do they get into Somalia? The environment, the border is very porous. That is one thing. Number two, I don't think we have seen any determined action from the Kenyan government. You see, fighting terrorism is not like fighting conventional war.
Right.
It's not conventional war. You don't go to the front and you start firing bullets.
Right.
No, it's terrorism. It's within the people. It's like preaching religion. When you preach religion, the fire catches without you knowing.
But we're talking about Kenya here. Sorry to cut you off, Matthew, but it feels like terrorism all over the world. Leaders fail to address the root of it all because it's not the fighters in themselves. It's not the Mujahideens. It's not Boko Haram. It's not... I feel like, don't you think they should address the issue at the beginning, at the root? Why is there terrorism?
I want to understand you very well, Regis, if you allow me. What is the root cause here? What would cause a country or maybe a group of people to decide to go to another country and kill others? So the question is, yes, maybe there are some things you're granting about. There are things you don't agree with in your government, but I don't think the right or the quicker source, the quicker solution would be going to terrorism. Right. But like I was saying, the question is, are our governments ready to act? You see, when this happened in Israel, you remember the noise that people made. Israel is killing children in Palestine. But you see, these guys were crossing over and bombing Israeli residents. So what do? They were targeting their leaders, irrespective of whoever they were targeting. They did it quite for a couple of days, and did you see what happened? Right. They all receded. They were like, some of them even feared to move out. So we have not seen such a strong action from the Kenyan government. And I think not just the Kenyan government, but our governments, because they are all members of East African community.
Right, absolutely. I think a lot of people agree with you on that.
Absolutely. Always great having you here. And as we were talking about on today's news feature, we take a look at the Service Investment Forum, which saw more than 600 investors and policymakers from all over the world exchange ideas and dialogue on investing in Rwanda. We hit the streets to find out what the forum participants thought of the conference and their take on investing in Rwanda. Check it out.
This is a good opportunity that everyone wants to get, because as a young generation, here we meet different investors from different countries like Africa, Asia, and South America, and it's a good opportunity to interact with them and knowing what is happening, and so that you can add and connect with them, and it's a good opportunity for every person, and especially I'm talking about young generation, and I encourage them to participate in this conference.
There's a lot of opportunities for Rwanda, given that the cost for export is very high, and I work in the field of trade, etc. So it's very important to be able to have that type of an approach where we're able to export more, but export more services from Rwanda.
Iyi forum ni nziza cyane kuko icyambere tuhungukira inama zitandukanye kugira ngo abashomari bose babaje buri muntu wese akatanga ibitekerezo natwe kuko nkanjye rirwemeza mirimo mutoya urumva bamungukiye inama nyinshi zitandukanye.
We've been working studying investments in Rwanda for quite a while now.
and we've decided that it is one of the best areas, central areas, to make service companies. Mainly for healthcare, it should be, in my opinion, definitely a hub for all the region, all of Central Africa.
I think the dialogue has been very good in terms of understanding what investors require when they're looking to take on a new business venture, what type of returns they're looking for, or determining if there is a demand and sustainability for certain services to be pitched in this market, in the Rwandan market. So I think that that's a really important discussion for us to have.
The main resources that Rwanda has is the people, and the people can provide very good services.
Makeda, by the variety of people I spoke there, as you saw in the video, you could tell the energy here. You have Rwandans that cannot wait to meet investors from wherever part of the world they're coming from, to learn from them, learn from what they've accomplished. But you also have investors coming in here, knowing that Rwanda is a young economy that's really booming here. And they really want to invest in here. They believe in the security, they believe in the economy, they believe in the financial system. It's doing pretty good.
Absolutely. I always love events that bring people together and,
Right.
you know, create opportunities. It's always a good thing. You are watching Rise and Shine Rwanda. Lifestyle is up next, and we take a look at what's hot right now in our daily debate section, Hot Topics. We'll be right back.
Lifestyle now. Alan Karakire, what do you have for us?
Well, Regis, actually, Makeda has a cool music feature for us.
Uh-oh.
And of course, as always, I have some hot topics for us.
All right.
We all love discovering fresh new talent, especially if we feel that we can relate to it, right? Well, recently I caught up with a young lady that was born and raised here in Kigali until she left the country in 1994 with her family and has since been living abroad. She's a singer-songwriter and has been steadily gaining buzz since she started her musical career. She recently had her first performance in Rwanda during a visit home, and she is set to have another one this Sunday. I decided to catch up with her to learn about what makes her tick. Meet Iadede.
My name is Iadede. I am an artist, singer, songwriter, musician, music producer, and all-around creative spirit.
Da 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 da.
I was born in the old Rwanda. I lived in that, in that country. Yeah, just the typical story of the girl born and raised in Rwanda, and then war happens, and then you have to leave. When I was living in Belgium, I was making music that was, R&B-ish, soulish, soulful, whatever everybody else was doing, I guess, And I don't think I had really took the time to reflect on what I wanted to say and who I was and how I could put that identity into my music. And then one day I met this Belgian rock star. He's pretty known. He's probably not known in Africa at all, but he's pretty big in Europe. And his name is Arnaud. And we became friends. So he used to mentor me, and eventually he introduced me to this artist named Zap Mama. She's Congolese and Belgian, but she is one person who, way back before everybody else was doing it, was already taking African music, African way of singing, and mixing it with whatever type of music she was musing around, At some point she needed a background vocalist to tour with her. And of course I've been listening to her music since I was 8 years old, so I knew all her harmonies and all her melodies by heart. But then she was impressed by my performance, I guess, and then she hired me to tour with her. So we went on tour, we went all over Europe, we went to Israel, we went to America. Then I met this producer from New Orleans. His name is Bless. And then we started making music, and then what came out was really good, and we didn't expect what was going to come out of it. And then more and more people started adding and being interested, and then I got a manager and a PR, and then they started talking about me in the newspapers. I mean, on an underground level, you know, talking about how new and fresh what we were doing was. So I think that's when I really was like, okay, I guess I'm making music as a kind of as a career, but yeah, so that's what happened.
And I wanna go.
Sonically, melodically, visually, and lyrically, it makes sense. It reinforced that feeling of contrast, and the contrast in my own life. The fact that I'm Rwandan, you know, I slept at my grandma's house in like a mud house basically, and then I've been in the highest buildings in New York. So my life is very contrasted. So that was a long answer, but yeah.
Wow, Makeda, I'm actually jealous. I wish I got to, well, I guess I'll meet her soon. But I wanted to ask you, how do you describe her music?
You know what? I think she described it herself, even though she said that she couldn't really find a real way to describe it. But I think she said it was electro, African, so I don't remember what it was, but it's very eclectic and it's very mixed.
And I feel it's original somehow because,
absolutely.
like she says, she has the
like
the
her music videos.
Yeah, she has the African influence, but as well as the European and I guess somewhat American as well.
Right.
But I wanted to also find out, is she moving here or is she just here temporarily?
So for right now, she's just visiting, but it really seemed like she was really getting into, you know, Kigali life, Rwanda life. She didn't seem like she was ready to leave yet, and she's not gone yet. She actually has a show this Sunday at Rubangura Luxury Apartments there in Kimihurura, so you can check that out if you know.
Absolutely, I won't miss it.
Yeah, so she's here just for now, just visiting. But I think she definitely has plans to come back, possibly long term.
Right.
But yeah, she's doing her thing. It seems like she's really getting into the music scene here. She's even done she's working on some music right now with local producers.
Oh, that's nice.
And it has like a very, you know, traditional Rwandese feel to it. It's really cool. I'm excited for people to start.
I thought you were going to say it has like a J. Polly feel to it, but
J. Polly? Not quite J. Polly,
more
but
traditional.
She's making her own niche, actually. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Well, I'm excited. I can't wait to see her.
Me too. So what do we have next? I'm excited for what's next.
Well, as always, you know, I've got the hottest hot topics, so stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back. It's that Hot Topics time again. As always, you can join in on the debates through our social media and let us know what you think about our hot topics. Let's get into our first one. Unfortunately, it seems like there's been a spike on terrorism. You know, last week we had 48 fish traders that were killed by Boko Haram in Nigeria. And then we also had 28 people that were killed in a bus in northern Kenya by Al-Shabaab. And then this week, just yesterday, 36 people were killed in a quarry, again by Al-Shabaab, who specifically target non-Muslims. And it just seems like every day is some kind of terrorism attacks. What do you guys think? Do you think government is doing enough? And I know you guys talked about it earlier, but I just feel like it's too much.
I think a lot of people in 2011, and maybe a bit before, 2011 was the most mediatized one, but even a bit before, when you look at Israel and Palestine and all these other Hamas that's been doing it for a long time, a lot of people thought it was going to be a fad, that it wasn't going to stay, that it wasn't going to be here for a long time. But here we are, 13 years later, and it's a force to reckon with. Whether you agree or disagree with it, it's bad, but it's here. I mean, how can we get rid of it?
Yeah.
No, I personally feel like the government should just deal with this once and for all and just, you know, be done with it. Because honestly, it's very unfortunate what's happening, and the fact that people feel like not enough is being done is a serious issue. And
absolutely,
you know, I just feel like, I mean, they're the government. They're supposed to provide solutions. That's why they're in that position. And if people don't feel like they're doing enough, then what are they doing to begin with? So it's just a really.
I want to know what Arnold thinks of it.
No, personally, terrorist attacks like recently, within the past month, East African governments such as Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, and Burundi have reinforced their military by spending over $1 billion. Now that shows they don't want the shift from Boko Haram and Al-Shabaab, which are trying to connect through the Northern Spring because of insecurity in the Northern Spring and the Middle East. Yeah, and at some point you feel September 11th is partly to blame because the US went and there's a lot of instability in the Middle East where most of these groups arose, and now they're starting to move from one area to another.
And to Africa, unfortunately. All right, let's go on to the next hot topic. This one is more of a lighter one. This is taking place in the United States. A Republican aide to Congressman Stephen Fincher made some pretty harsh comments about the first daughters who attended a Thanksgiving ceremony. And in the ceremony, I guess she didn't like the way they dressed or the way they appeared to look bored at the event. So she had some really pretty mean things to say. I'll just quickly say some of the things that she said. She's like, dear Sasha and Malia, I get that you're both in awful teen years, but you're a part of the first family. Try showing a little class. At least respect the part that you play. Then again, your mother and father don't respect their positions very much, or the nation for that matter. So I'm guessing you're coming up a little short in the good role model department. Another thing she added was, dress like you deserve respect, not a spot at a bar. These are little teenage kids.
Exactly.
Like,
she's talking about not respecting positions, and she's actually really making herself look ridiculous.
Look ridiculous.
But
So
you know,
yeah.
Tell me.
I was going to say she offered an apology, but unfortunately it was a bit too late because she got a lot of backlash and she had to resign just yesterday.
Certain apologies should never be accepted. Just off the fact that, I don't know, there's a new Chris Rock article that was published in the New York Magazine where he delves into racism and the way it's portrayed in 2014 as opposed to the 50s and the 60s. And he talks about it. So now it's more elegant. It's like elegant racism where they talk about it, but they're not hanging people anymore.
You don't have class.
That's not
exactly.
elegant.
So it's very...
Nothing about that statement is elegant.
It's deceptive, but it's there.
And then you apologize. How does anyone think that your apology is authentic, you know? Because after saying all that...
She took her time to write that down.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Plus it's a holiday. I mean, the girls were, you know, in a relaxed mood and just trying to have a good time.
And
Why
they're
are
teenagers for crying out
loud?
loud. Let's not spend any more time.
All right, guys. So don't forget, we love to hear your thoughts, comments, and feedback on what we're talking about here on Rise and Shine Rwanda. Tweet us at Rise and Shine RW. Like us on Facebook and send us your ideas for programs. Check out our Rise and Shine Rwanda YouTube page where you can catch all the shows we do every day. Find us on Instagram, Rise and Shine RW. We love to see your pictures. Or check out our Rise and Shine Rwanda website.
Well, that's all the time that we have for today. We love to hear your feedback, so let us know if you have any ideas for the program. You've been watching Rise and Shine Rwanda with me, Makeda Mahadio.
And me, Regis Isheja. We'll be here, same time, same place tomorrow. Do join us then. But for now, from the both of us, from all these guys, and from everybody that's been helping to make this show happen, have a great day. Goodbye.
Bye.